right, we're here again with Amber Harper. We want to thank her for sticking around with us and talking about a couple of more things today. Amber Harper is a former classroom teacher, Google certified trainer, and teacher burnout coach, whose mission is to activate educator self-empowerment, to beat burnout, and live a happy, fulfilled life. She's the founder of burnedinteacher.com and creator of Burned In Teacher Coaching and EdTech Consulting, where she has joined her two loves, EdTech and innovation in the classroom, and her obsession with helping educators go from burned out to burned in. She hosts a weekly podcast dedicated to action, inspiration, and support for teachers dealing with teacher burnout, called the Burned In Teacher Podcast. Thanks for joining us today, Amber.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Karen. I'm so honored to be here.
So we just finished a conversation about what it means to be a burned in teacher. And we talked a little bit about what's going on right now in the world. And I've heard it said in the past that no one talks to me more than me. And I guess that has come to mean to me that the constant conversation that goes on in my head is probably pretty important. And I think that that's true of everyone. We all talk to ourselves an awful lot. So how do you help teachers keep that conversation that's going on in their head, even during this weird time with COVID-19? How do you help them stay focused on a growth mindset?
That is a fantastic question. And it's something that we all struggle with, right? So because of that, and as I've already alluded to in the burned in process, when we're trying to really think about why we're struggling and where our burnout is coming from, part of that process is called Understand Your Teacher Brand. And so as I went deeper into how it is that I can help teachers to build a positive and when I say productive, I don't mean like doing more, but something that produces positive results for you. I really wanted to start with those things that we tell ourselves, the stories that we tell ourselves, or sometimes the lies that we tell ourselves, because it all begins there. So I want to start by saying that you can download these posters for free. I have had people hang them in teachers' lounges, in their home offices. They've hung them in their classrooms. They've even handed them out to their students. And I should have included images here. They're so cute that they've actually had their students decorate these people, because I created these agents of change to replace the agents of same that keep us where we are. So you can go to burnedinteacher.com/agents of change and download these posters for free. So what I tell teachers first, and one thing I want to start with, is it does matter what you say to yourself. And the reason is 95% of the thoughts that you thought yesterday, you are thinking today.
Wow.
95% of them are repeated. And 80% of those thoughts are negative. So it matters. And I may have even flipped that. It might be 80% that you thought yesterday, and 95% of that is negative. But what you say to yourself, the stories that you tell yourself, the beliefs that you hold to be true, whether or not they are actually true, is really important for you to focus your attention on, and to even change depending on where it is that you see yourself in your life and in your burnout. So Mahatma Gandhi said, this is my very favorite quote: our beliefs become our thoughts become our words become our actions become our habits become our values, and our values become our destiny. And I mean, think about it. When you say things to yourself over and over and over again, you start to talk about them as if they are reality, right? And that's especially now. This is really important because we have to keep telling ourselves this quarantine is temporary. This is not forever. Because if all we continue to tell ourselves is, this is horrible, this sucks, this is so boring, this is so pointless, I can't believe I'm stuck at home. If we continue to say things like that to ourselves, we are only going to make ourselves miserable, therefore saying miserable things, therefore making our families miserable, and then turning this whole situation into an extremely negative one. Mm-hmm. When, I've heard people say, instead of saying I'm stuck at home, saying I'm safe at home. And then that flips the entire focus and the entire perspective. All of these things matter because our beliefs are choices, and choices can be changed. The problem here is that we sometimes get so ingrained in these beliefs, and we make these rules for ourselves, and we've told ourselves the same stories over and over again for so many years that we believe them to be 100% true. And it's harder to change them the longer that we believe and say these things to ourselves. I saw you shaking your head, yes.
We often talk about that emotions are behavior, and emotions are communication, and emotions are so tied to our beliefs. But we talk with teachers often about how even emotional behaviors can be changed because they're behaviors.
Yeah.
And beliefs are choices. Beliefs are behaviors. We act upon what we believe most.
Right.
And so we have to learn how to believe the right things in order to make the right choices, so that we can be happier and manage our stress in a more positive way.
Right. Well, and we could have a whole nother session on habits, right?
Sure.
Because our beliefs become habits as well. And there are these things called habit circles, right? Where you have a trigger, and then, that trigger triggers a habit, and then it triggers the outcome. Yeah. And then it just becomes this habitual circle. So these are really important things to talk about, because if you don't change the way you talk to yourself about that student, your relationship will never change with that student. And I remember when I was going through a serious round of burnout at a school that I could not. I had a terrible relationship with my principal and my assistant principal. And the story that I told myself every day is, I cannot stand to be around them. I can't stand to be in the same room with them. They don't get me. They don't care about me. That is what I told myself every single day. So that's what I believed. And I never gave myself a chance to say, maybe they don't understand where I'm coming from. Maybe they're dealing with something that I have no idea. Maybe their hands are truly tied. I did not allow myself the space or the clarity to believe something different. And one of those things is, we talked earlier about the venting and the conversations that we're having. I had the same old venting conversations with my teammates all the time, every day, every week, about how out of touch they were. And, all of these things, we just did nothing but talk negatively. And that just reinforced these beliefs. Yes, it's true. It's true. It's true. And what's really important about this, Karen, is that when you tell yourself certain things, positive or negative, your brain flips on what's called the reticular activating system. Are you familiar with this?
Only from your webinar that you had.
Okay. So the reticular activating system, okay, it looks for ways to prove that what you believe is true and abundant, okay? So if you have a scarcity mindset, there's not enough time, there's not enough money, there's not enough me, right? Your brain is going to look for words and proof and situations to make sure that it proves that what you believe is true. On the flip side, if you believe that there's plenty of time, you just may need to use it differently, as we're going to talk about in the next session, or that there is enough money, but you might need to spend it differently, or that there is enough you just need to focus on what you're doing daily, then your brain will also find ways to prove that that's true. So the example I use is a few years ago, my husband and I, we wanted to get a new vehicle. And I had no idea what I wanted. We just knew we needed to get rid of we had a Honda Pilot. It was too big. It was a V6. It was guzzling gas. We didn't need a big vehicle like that anymore. So I didn't know what I wanted until I sat in a Subaru Outback. And I sat in this car and I thought, this is what I want. This is the car I want. And we left that dealership to go home to do more research. And everybody had a Subaru Outback. and I'd never noticed them really before.
Hmm.
And whenever we were driving home, I was like, my gosh, these are really popular, and I had never noticed them before. And it was because my reticular activating system had been switched on, and my brain was looking for that car that I wanted to see myself in. So that's why the way that we talk to ourselves is so important, because the more things that we say to ourselves, positive or negative, the more we're going to find proof to believe and to know that thought is true. So what I decided to do, just like with the burn-in process, is I wanted to have like a backup plan, like a plan B. So if I say this, I'm going to replace it with this. So I created these agents of change. And the reason that I created them is because I struggle myself with negative talk. We all do. Our brains are wired to focus on the negative to keep us safe, yes. Right? Mm-hmm. So that it helps us to make sure that we aren't being eaten by a tiger out in the wild, right? Now, luckily we don't have to deal with that, but our brains are still wired as human beings, as animals, to look for the negative to keep us safe. So what I found are some common things that teachers say to themselves. And this is from my own experience and from asking teachers, what are some things you consistently say to yourself? So what I came up with are these agents of same that are down here on the left in red. I have perfection Patty, overwhelm Olivia, negative Ned, anxious Avery, superhero Sam, and excuse Edward. And they all say different things related to different challenges that we may encounter as educators. So Perfection Patty will say something, and then we can match Perfection Patty with an agent of change. These agents of change are in green on the right, and they are meant to stand up against those agents of same and say, no, we don't talk that way anymore. This is what we're going to think, feel, and believe. So the agents of change are try it out Trevor, step by step Sabrina, positivity Peyton, go with the flow Frank, human Hannah, and capable Carrie. So when perfection Patty steps in, which, oh my gosh, if I had $1 for every teacher that says I'm just such a perfectionist, it's just who I am. I'm telling you what, I could own Zoom and we would never have any problems. So Perfection Patty says things like, if this isn't perfect, it isn't good enough to try. It isn't good enough to do, right? And that brings about those feelings of doubt and uncertainty. So whenever we start to say, oh my gosh, this isn't perfect, I couldn't post this on Instagram, I'm not good enough, then we say, no, we don't say that anymore. Try it out Trevor says, I'm brave enough to try new things, make mistakes, and learn from them. And now we flip the switch. Now we're bringing about feelings of confidence and inspiration. We're allowing ourselves to take risks and try new things, which is that doing something different. So whether that's how you're spending your time, who you're hanging out with, no matter what it is, how you're talking to your students, or what, the classroom management or your relationship, this can apply to anything. Try something different and know that it's okay if it doesn't work out the way you planned the first time. Overwhelm Olivia is a very popular one with the burned and unbalanced teachers. There's so much to do, I don't even know where to start. So this is where those feelings of paralysis and cynicism come in. You're panicked, you're stressed, and instead we're going to take a deep breath, and step by step Sabrina's going to say, I will focus on what will have the biggest impact on my vision. And we'll talk about vision when we talk about workflow. What do I visualize for myself? What is an ideal situation for me? That will help you to be focused and organized. Again, this is not about labeling every drawer and every single shelf. This is about knowing where things are that are going to move the needle forward for you and are going to help you to reach your vision. Negative Ned is, just rolling your eyes, shocker. Of course we have a fire drill right now. I just was in the middle of my perfect lesson, so now you're exasperated and you're frustrated. Of course this would happen, shocker. So these are just telling yourselves, like, this is just always what happens. And instead you're saying, you know what, I can do the hard things and I won't let challenges affect my attitude, because I can't control this craziness that just happened. All I can control is my attitude. Mm-hmm. I am just grateful that I get to work in this safe environment. I am grateful that I get to live this dream of being a teacher, and all I can do is keep myself and my students calm. So that's positivity Peyton. Anxious Avery is what if anything, and that goes with any of these agents of same or agents of change. You can customize them to match your direct needs and what you need to hear or think or believe. But so what if this doesn't work? What if my principal comes in? What if another teacher judges me? Or what if teachers are mad that I don't hang out in the teacher's lounge anymore because it's so negative? What if they judge me? What if they think I'm a snob? Or what if my students laugh at me when I try this? Whatever that what if for you, that brings about feelings of scarcity and irritation. Like there's not enough of anything. There's also another side of what if, I should say, like, what if this goes fantastically? Or what if I just love this, right? So that's another side of what if. But when we start to ask ourselves those questions that are negative, like what if this, what if that, you can go with the flow. Frank is that agent of change. I am not going to worry about things I can't control, right? I can't control their reactions, but I can control my actions. I can control, I know why I'm doing this. If it doesn't go well, I'm brave enough to try new things and make mistakes and learn from them. So it's really thinking about, like, I'm going to do this because I know it's the right, this isn't to say that you can just go do whatever you want. But when you're trying something new, when you're having a different conversation, when you're hanging around with different people, when you're treating your students differently, that's something that you can control. You can't control the reaction. And that will bring you clarity and really will make you be thoughtful about how you're going about this new task or this new action that you're taking. Superhero Sam is also a really popular one. This actually can go into any of the types of burnout. I can do everything myself. I read in an article once that teachers are superheroes and I'm invincible and I can do everything myself. I can't ask for help because that means I'm weak. That makes you feel isolated and obviously overwhelmed because nobody's a superhero. We are humans. We need help and it takes a village. So it's okay to have to ask for help. And whenever you start to say this, like, I can't ask for help, I'll look like I don't know what I'm doing. This could bring about that imposter syndrome a little bit. Like, if I ask, they're going to find me out and I'm not going to look like I know what I'm doing. Well, instead, you're going to say, human Hannah, I'm going to focus on what I can do with the time I'm allowed, and I will ask for help when I need it. Not if, but when you need it, because we all need a little help sometimes. And I love to encourage teachers to understand that there are people in the building that are better than you at something. And that's fantastic because now you have a direct resource to go to and to say, hey, I've noticed that your kids, like, they are on it. When you tell them to do something or ask them to do something, they listen to you. My kids don't listen to me. What is your secret? It's not shameful to ask for help and ask, people for their expertise on something. It really is for the betterment of your people, your kids, your students. So that will bring about feelings of relief and determination to keep trying something new, to keep focusing on what you can do with the time that you have. And that now you have this fantastic resource to go to when you need help. And then Excuse Edward is I'm too. And I mean, this is such Excuse Edward is just, it encompasses everything. I'm too old. I've been doing this too long. I am too new. I've only been doing this for a year. Or I'm too stupid. Or I'm too I've only taught first grade. Like I'm too dumb to go and teach middle school or become a principal. All of these beliefs that make us feel inferior and incapable of doing something different or something big, those big, hairy, audacious goals. They're the things that keep us the same, keep us where we are when we are clearly ready for something new. And Capable Carrie says, I'm capable and I am worthy. And then you can finish that sentence with anything. I am capable and worthy of going back to college and getting my doctorate. I am capable and I am worthy of telling my story and empowering others to tell theirs. I am capable and I am worthy of getting out the door before 7:00 p.m. on a Friday night. I am worthy of that. My family is worthy of that. And so that brings about those empowerment or those beliefs of obviously capability and worthiness, which is we all struggle with feelings of not being enough, not being good enough or smart enough or fast enough or brave enough. And so Excuse Edward and Capable Carrie are some of my favorites because you can customize them so easily to those negative thoughts about not being enough, not being, the person you should be to do that thing. So those are the agents of change. I did turn them into posters, like I said, so you can hang these anywhere in order to help you to remember that your beliefs are the beginning and the end of honest long-term change. And this is, again, another tool you can put in your tool belt for when things get hard, in addition to that burned in process of really knowing that the way that you think about a situation or a person or yourself is going to produce proof that that is true. So it really does begin and end with the way that you talk to yourself. Yeah, so that's why self-talk is so important in the process.
And that self-fulfilled prophecy is so true. Mm-hmm. For so many of us. And I love the fact that you made the posters out of it, because they really can become mantras for us to, I can imagine making them different sizes and posting them around my house or around my classroom. Mm-hmm. I open up this closet and I see, I'll focus on what I will have the biggest impact on my vision. And that could completely change my perspective for the rest of the day and what I accomplish for the rest of the day. So, really useful to have something like that to be able to hang up and remind ourselves of.
It really is. And Napoleon Hill says in Think and Grow Rich, he talks about the power of auto-suggestion. And now we call it manifestation. But back when he wrote this book in the 1930s, he called it auto-suggestion. So notice that you're saying, I am brave enough to try new things, make mistakes, and learn from them. Even if you don't believe it, especially when you start saying these things, when you talk about it like it is reality, you are going to act and talk and create habits that do eventually make these things true. Okay. So, and then I will focus on what will have the biggest impact on my vision. When you say that to yourself, you're telling yourself, no, you are not going to go dismantle your class library right now, because you're going to focus on what's going to have the biggest impact on you getting out that door and going home to your family. So it's really all about, really ingraining these beliefs in your head so that you can take the appropriate actions, no matter what your circumstance.
So I'm sure that just like you just alluded to, the idea of being able to get everything done, the things that have the biggest impact on your day, getting that all done so that you can get home to your family, has a lot to do with how you organize your day.
Absolutely.
And I think we're going to talk about that in our next session. So I look forward to having that conversation.
Yeah, me too.